This is exactly the way that we make coffee in Corvus cafes. So if we're gonna brew 1 cup of coffee, we're gonna use 20 grams of coffee and 340 grams of water. That might not be a way that you're familiar with measuring water, but when we're using a scale, it's really easy to do that. So I'm gonna run this coffee through our grinder real quick, and then we'll start brewing. So we've got our coffee ground now. This is our 20-gram dose of San Pedro. We've got our hot water kettle here. Water in Denver boils at 202, so we've set this just off boil at 201. If you're brewing closer to sea level, I would recommend 210. First thing that we're gonna do once we've got our water hot is we're gonna put our filter in our brewer. The first thing that we're gonna do is rinse our filter paper with hot water. This is going to get rid of the paper taste and warm up our brewer and decanter. That really gets everything nice and hot and rinses out that paper taste. So I'm now going to discard this water. This is something that we do at all of our Corvus cafes. It's essentially just a metal rod. It works really well for doing what we call a kubomi bed prep. Tear this scale again. I'm gonna dump my ground coffee on top. Got exactly 20 grams. That's the dose I'm looking for. I'm going to give this a gentle shake just to level those grounds out. Then I'm gonna take this stir stick and essentially swivel it around a point in the middle without poking a hole through that wet paper filter, spiraling in towards the middle, creating that nice concentric spiral with a little bit of a divot there in the middle. So I'm just gonna double tap twice on this button. That's gonna reset our scale to 0, so I know exactly how much water I'm about to add to this brew. So we've done our kubomi bed prep, we've discarded our rinse water. Our boiling water is now ready to use, and we're gonna start our timer to do a bloom on our coffee. The bloom is essentially just the first pour of water. So I did a 50-gram bloom. It's a little over double the amount of coffee grounds that we used. After 30 seconds have passed, at Corvus we do what's called a continuous pour. That means we're gonna add the remainder of our water all the way up to 340 grams in one single pour. I'm pouring this very gently, a little bit over 5 milliliters per second, which is what this handy Timemore scale can tell me right in the middle there. I'm gonna do concentric circles down towards the middle, spiral back out to the outer edge. And I'm trying to hit 340 grams total at 1.5 minutes after we started our brew. While I've still got a lot of this water here, I'm going to gently give this a circular swirl just to let all those coffee grounds settle into an even layer so that our water is draining through as consistently as possible. Now at Corvus, we would call a coffee in parameter, meaning it is brewing the way that we would expect it to. If it's gonna brew somewhere between 2.5 and 3.5 minutes from the point that we started pouring water. We also call our brew complete when we're gonna see this water level pass below the level of the coffee grounds. So that moment right there, we were at 3 minutes exactly, so right in the middle of our parameters. So this coffee followed our recipe exactly.